the rodeo, and I ended up having lunch with her, and she has done quite a number of things with veterans, and is a veteran herself. So she's going to be coming to share some things about veterans, and we have a special token of appreciation for all of our veterans to give out on that Friday, November 17th. We will be having our birthday Thanksgiving lunch here. Murillo is working on it, and I don't know if you've noticed that the pastries and the breads and things that we have been getting lately. Sierra is the new assistant chef. She is a pastry chef, and so I can only expect that we're going to have some good desserts for that Thanksgiving lunch. And if she's listening now, maybe that's a hint to her. And then on November 24th, uh, no keys because of Thanksgiving. And that's the things that are coming up. We are doing Elf Louise on November 30th, and the sign up is out there. And we're also going to the Woodlawn Theater on December 10th, and that sign up is out there. And we've kind of trimmed back the number of tickets that we purchase, but we can get additional tickets if we need them. So we have 10 for sure tickets. So if you want to be sure that you're in, sign up the first 10, but we will likely be able to get other tickets. We've just kind of been, when we were doing 20, we were ending up having some leftovers, and then we did 15 and we had some leftovers, and they're $26 a pop. So we don't want to, we don't want to donate those tickets. So be sure that you sign up for that. And as ever, whenever there's something offsite, we will have a shuttle. We will have a van. Uh, we won't always have as good a driver as Gary, but we will always have a van. And and I learned the detail of the struggle that you guys had. I was just a little embarrassed, but because I thought I'd taken care of it all. And the decision is that we won't go off site again unless I'm here. But that's not my decision. That was Stanley's decision. To you, yeah, and there's a lot of struggles with access to that building, and so we'll rethink that. I think we've done pretty well with accessibility, and transportation over the past year and a half or so. Um, I think it's public knowledge at this point that, um, and now my brain is closing off on me. No, 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 no. Your note to Hazel, Hazel Zachar. Um, Nancy is her at home deacon or contact deacon, and she went to connect with her yesterday morning and called and found out that she had passed away that morning at 102, maybe. Yeah, she'd be 102 in January. Sweet lady. Don't have any of the details yet. We don't know anything about arrangements, but Hazel Zachar. There, that morning. No, that morning. No, this is the Nancy. Nancy Black. Yeah, because I don't know. Hmm. Well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Scott will be tracking that down. He and I were in a meeting together when I got Nancy's text message. Yeah. Well, it, it was her day. It was her day that God had for her, and what a trooper, um, and a true Army nurse. True Army nurse. And we were privileged to have fellowship with her. Any other particular announcements that Stanley has information on the thing that you talked about last time?
Urban 15, they have what they call a laser light show at the Lila Cockrell Theater, and I believe it's on December 19th, and it is free. They have two shows, one in the afternoon, I believe at 3 o'clock, and the other one's in the evening at 7. Mary and I go to the afternoon one because all the elementary school kids go to that. And they just get so excited, and it's just full of life when they're there. You know, they have all this, it's not smoke, I think it's a carbon dioxide vapor that they go in there, and the lasers are just, it's really something we've never seen before. And we go every year, and it always puts us in the Christmas mood. And again, it is free. And so I have flyers up there that takes you, you know, where you can go to that website, it's Urban 15, and you can just get the tickets free. And you do have to have a ticket to attend. You cannot just walk in, but it is free. It is not assigned seating, and normally it gets about a half full. So there's always plenty of seating there. Okay.
Thanks, Stanley. Well, today we are going to be sharing, and I say we, because we took you're aware that we took a team of 10 people to Alaska this summer. Preston Miller was with us, and we had to send him home because he was sick. I spent some time with him in the emergency room, and they suspected appendicitis and decided that it probably wouldn't be a good idea for him to be in the middle of nowhere. And they wanted him to stay in Anchorage, but he flew, and it turned out it wasn't his appendix, and didn't really identify what was wrong. But he was only there for the hard work, shopping at Costco and packing the van and packing the food and packing the truck and all that good stuff. So it was kind of a busy beginning to our trip whenever you have someone that needs medical attention. But we got through it. And then there were 9 others. There was myself and Nancy and my daughter Lauren and Sachan. You all know Sachan. 2 of his friends from Fort Worth, Clint and Linda, and another, what? I'm working. I knew this was going to happen. I was prepared for that. Eddie Chapa. Everybody know Eddie? He's about this tall, and he ushers in the contemporary, in the modern service. And Eddie's a good friend. And then Katie Bauman was from South Carolina when I first met her, but now she's works in a church in Tennessee, And she was on the first trip that Lauren and I went. And so when I was trying to pull together a team, I knew that if I could get, yeah, she's behind me in that picture. And then we connected with Pat Fick, who you met 4 years ago when we came back. She works with Concordia Texas University. So we had a great time together. I think they would agree with that. And we just want to, I'm not going to show you missionary slides but I've got some pictures together. We're going to give you an opportunity. I know that many of you probably contributed to finances for us to purchase our food, and we appreciate that. I shouldn't let them sit behind me. Okay, let's see what happens with this. Aha, this is our staging area in Anchorage. You did stay there. Oh, that's right. I failed to mention that Mary went in 2019 with a group of 5 of us that went. So this is a Lutheran church in Anchorage. Am I going to have to sit between you? This is the way it was for a whole week. But that's the whole team minus Sachan, because I think he was the one taking the picture. There's Eddie, and there's Natalie. Okay, I can do this. We know that is Nancy, and that is Linda. She was a very Southern belle, and her what she said all the time was, "My stars," and we all said that. That's her husband Clint, and that is Eddie Chapa. That's Natalie Shaifa, and that's my daughter, and that's Katie, and that's Preston, and that's, I don't know who that is. So let's move on. This is my favorite restaurant in Anchorage. And well, that too, but you know I don't drink. So they have the best fried oysters. And now I got fried oysters the other day from somewhere, and they were when we were down at the coast, and the oysters were like this big. The oysters in Alaska are huge. Yeah, they were huge. And I don't know, I don't know where they got them from, but that's one of my favorite restaurants. Oh, yeah. The cheese block is right there. You go in and you can cut off the cheese, but there's a sign that's a fake sign that is because the health department came in and got on them for having that big block of cheese and having accessibility. So there was a little note that says, "Don't touch the cheese." But people in the know that go to that restaurant know that you can touch the cheese. And so you can cut it off. I learned that this past time. Okay, here we go. This was the fun part. This is Natalie with 2 shopping carts there. And yeah, we purchased probably these doing some assessing of our necessities for food, but the real key thing is Nutella and ramen soup. And I think we even had Spam and then mac and cheese and coffee. Coffee was a big thing. No, I'm just going to do everything. I'm getting to a point. And if you have something to say, stand up and say it. This was packing the truck after Costco. And it was raining. And at this point, I wish I had to just shut the tailgate. It was a rental truck. It was some crazy like old time old junk rental that we, but it turned out to be a decent truck. Oh, pushing the wrong button. That is after packing the boxes in, and this is the room we slept in at the church. Everybody on air mattresses around a room. Isn't that inviting for you to go with me next time to sleep on the floor on an air mattress? How many would be excited to do that? And this is at the Bethel Airport. We flew from Anchorage to Bethel, and this is at the Bethel Airport getting ready to check in and to check our boxes. I think I still have some on my shoes.
I never bring a light colored bag to Alaska.
Again. This was our pilot and our co-pilot. Well, this was our pilot, and this was our volunteer co-pilot.
Okay, I have a story about that because she was lovely, and she took us both there and back. But none of us had really been in a bush plane before, and I was excited. I had my camera out. I was ready to take pictures to see the terrain, because artist kind of thing. And so we got in the plane and we got up there. Nothing. It was white, completely white. You couldn't see a thing. She was on instruments the whole time. And we kept telling Sashan, who was like distracting her, to like leave her alone so that she can fly this thing, because we're blind. So anyway.
But she didn't, it was on autopilot anyway, so she didn't have to do anything. But it was, you couldn't see the ground until we were about ready to land. And it's a 12 passenger, I forget the maybe a Cessna. We went in July. It was about the same temperature that it's been here the last couple of weeks. Yes. Yeah.
And we couldn't come with our bags. Our bags came later on another plane.
And I have a picture of the airport shuttle from the airport in Chivek. So I think this is really on the ground in Chivek. This is inside the plane. Very comfortable. I'm more comfortable in this plane than I am in some of the larger planes. Some people were complaining that every flight got smaller in plane. Yeah, but I don't mind these flights. I think they're fun. And that's from my vantage point, and right there, that's Deshaun's head. He is. Yeah, he's flown for the Civil Air Patrol and has done some other flying. So he was pretty excited. If you know Sachan, he was excited. And this is Natalie. We had deplaned in Chivek. And it's like, what did I do? So to give you an idea of what when you think of Alaska, what do you think of? Mountains, snow, white, luxury hotels, cruises. Whenever I tell people I'm going to Alaska, it's like, oh, lucky you. Well, this is where we ended up in Alaska. And what makes it special is the people that we were there for. We are in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's basically the way I describe it. Chivek is about 500 miles west of Anchorage, and eight or 10 miles inland from the Bering Sea. And so what that is like the wetlands of the Bering Sea. Like if you're driving down to Corpus and you're coming in on, is it 281 or 37 or down, but you start to see flatland and wetlands. That's kind of the same thing, only colder and flatter. This will give you an aerial view of what it looks like in Chivek. This is what they do. These are all fishing boats. All fishing boats. And this is the village.
When I think of you, I picture in my head.
That is part of the inland water system from the Bering Sea.
I wish I would have said that I care about you, and I'm glad we met.
This building with the blue roof is the school. This was the old school, and that building's not there anymore. It burned down during COVID. No, we stayed at the church. This house here is Christy's house. And a girl you'll see in the picture. It's either Chris, it might be this one. It's not in the picture yet. Could you, this is an airport, but it's the old airport. And technically, Chivek started out here and then moved off to the side. You can see water right there. That's a lake that's kind of in the middle. And you'll see the main mode of transportation in a couple of minutes, I think. Right there. That's what everybody drives. The cars that you see do not work. And so they all have ATVs. There's another one there. These are all storage things. And this is gasoline and oil, I think. And this is gasoline. And then this is where most of the people live. That truck belongs to the school. And see all the ATVs over here. This is the community center. And then we know a lot of folks that live in these houses. What? Yeah, this is a store. It's the red store because it's, and there's a blue store because it's, and those are the two stores. There's no restaurants at all. This is modern village, and the airport is back here, and this blue building right here is the church where we stayed. So it's all pretty well compact. Anybody want to go there? Spend a vacation? The teacher housing this is the school, this is the teacher housing back here. But we normally stayed in the teacher housing, but we couldn't this time because they were renovating it. Yes. Yes.
How did you select? How do you pronounce it?
Chivek.
Yeah, how did you select Chivek?
You want to tell that story?
I went to Concordia University, Texas for school, and the villages, and then that's how we connected with Pat. So Pat is the mission director basically at Concordia, and she partners with Can Do Missions, and it's all an LCMS based missions. That mission department at Concordia is connected to all different kinds of mission organizations all over the world. So Pat is the director. She travels to India and Africa and Cambodia and Guatemala. She goes all over or sends teams all over. And then she's got a global and then a states side mission department and different trips. And so when I was in school, it was my sophomore year, and I was going to be a part of the mission club, and I was going to be president of the mission club. And so I was like, well, I should probably go on a missions trip if I'm going to be president of the mission club. But I wasn't a very adventurous person at that time. And so I looked at the stateside missions, and there was one in Arizona working with Native Americans, and then there was Alaska. And my dad and I have always traveled a lot, and so I was like, let's go to Alaska. And I was like, want to come with me? And so my dad and I went the first year, the summer after my sophomore year of college. And so that's how we got connected to Chivak. But to give a broader answer to that question, Alaska Mission for Christ is the organization in Alaska that Pat from Concordia works with. And so we are one of many teams that go through Alaska Mission for Christ to these villages in Alaska. The villages are chosen by wanting it. So the Alaska Mission for Christ, their policy, they will never go into a village without being invited or asked to come. So that means that they either have the Native Tribal Council will reach out to Alaska Mission for Christ and ask for a team to come to their village, or in Chivak, there is a Catholic church, and so they're connected to Father Greg, or now it's a different person. It used to be a different priest, but that's part of how we got connected to Chivak. But Chivak was selected because they asked for a team to come, and a lot of times they're all interconnected up there. And so if kids know other kids who have gone to this summer Bible school, or like the VBS team is here, that's what we all hear when you land. It's like, you're here, and they're super excited. And so the word will pass around. It's like, okay, how do we get that to come to our village? And so then that's how they get connected. But it's a policy that they won't go unless they're invited. It's just out of respect and honoring the culture and everything. So that's how we got connected.
This is our airport shuttle. I think this was Nancy's first experience on an ATV, and the person driving that's Peter Boy Scout. Now, Boy Scout is a popular last name. Everybody is Boy Scout. I don't know where I've asked, and I haven't gotten a good explanation. Yeah, but a lot of people are named Boy Scout, but he is also the deacon for the Catholic Church, and he was our contact and handyman and bringer over of oil in the middle of the night when it was so cold that the furnace was empty, and he brought it over. And then and then got us into the Wi-Fi when that kind of went crazy. But this is rugged, but they survive. This is their life. No, we're in because we've been there before, and we connected. They could ask us not to come, and we would honor that. And that may happen after our team this time, but our first time was 2014, and then I went every year after that up until 2019 when we went from here, and she was busy getting gainful employment and couldn't go. Same village every time. That's where my heart is. I almost felt guilty for going there because it wasn't really connected to our church. They weren't mission partners with us. My connection was the only connection, and I've watched these kids from 2014 till now, and I have connections with them on Facebook, and so I felt selfish for wanting to go back there, but I'm thankful for the generosity of our church and the missions committee, and all of you for making these trips possible. Because at first I'm thinking once a year, and there really isn't anything the rest of the year for them, which that bothers me. But when we land, and when I get connecting with messages on Facebook and even phone calls from them, they don't understand that there is a time difference. So they're often like 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's when they're winding down, getting ready to go to bed. But it's only 7, 8 o'clock there, and so they don't understand the time difference.
So it's light all the time when we're there. And so that was interesting. And even the little ones don't go to bed till midnight. And so we would start our church with them, our vacation Bible study at 1 o'clock, and we would do things in the morning to prep, to have devotional time, and just be ready, because when they come, it's nonstop when they get into the church, and they start knocking on the door maybe about 11 o'clock to get in. And in fact, as soon as they find out, and there's a PA system that everybody has, and sometimes the kids get on it and they're not supposed to, but that's how they communicate during bad weather and things that happen. And things do happen. We had a lockdown while we were there because someone was in the village reportedly with a gun, but it didn't, nothing. It was a very quick thing. But where was I going with that? I don't know. It was light outside. And I think the thing is that the kids, it is a small village, and so the kids leave their house and they're out all day and all night, and they run around, and they are very creative. They make fairy circles to protect themselves from zombies. They're very clued in to cultural things that every kid has, because they all have phones and internet. I mean, they're aware. But I think when the weather is good to them, it would be when we would be inside because we would think it's too cold, but they're out with their dogs, and the ATVs are running. And if they see us come out, we're like the Pied Piper. And so they follow us everywhere. So we would have like 70.
This year we had maybe 70, 75. we saw a dip because what I didn't really think through. So I haven't been back in 5 years. I didn't go the last year that we were able to, and then COVID hit, and we haven't been able to go back until this year. And so that's a 5-year gap for me, 4-year gap for these guys. And the kids that knew the songs and came all the time, every year, we're seeing them every year. They're like, welcome home. Chivac is your second home, all of these different things. They've grown up now. And so the little kids, they don't know who we are. They're like, why would we come to church and sing songs with you? We don't know who you are, which I didn't really think through. And so we had less kids this time. But we had a lot of the older kids come. So like we had 21-year-olds who remember coming when they were 13, 14 years old. And they were helping us with skits, and they were helping us with songs and crafts and everything like that. So it was a very different year for us than what we're used to. But the past couple years, when we're at the tail end of it, because we had a smaller amount the first couple of years that I went, and then we got it up to 100, 125 kids, which is crazy because it's a village of about 1,000 people. So it was just an interesting time. Oh, that's right. It was also salmon run and hunting. Like they were gathering food. So a lot of people that we knew were actually out at fish camp, is what it's called. So they go out, they take their boats and they camp out and they get all their fish that they need, and then they come back. And so we just hit them at the poor season. So that's also why people that would have been there were not there, because they were out gathering food.
And I think Joe kind of prepared us for that as far as flexibility. There was one year where someone had died in the village. And so the people, they delayed the VBS so that they would take part in the morning time for them. So, and everybody does everything. The village mentality is very palpable. And actually the wonderful thing about being there, I think. And so we also got some of the older kids would come and help the younger kids. They are all interrelated. Many of them are biological children of one family, but then they live with another family. It's very much it definitely takes a village there. And they all are aware of who their bio mom is, but their real mom is this, and it's not confusing to them. It's what they know.
Yeah, they do a lot of like adopting out. So a lot of teen pregnancies. And so they'll be connected to their birth mom, but the mother or grandmother or aunt or sister will actually raise the kids. And so they call it like getting adopted out. I was going to say something else and I can't remember.
They also don't stay in the village when they're their 8th month of pregnancy. They go to Anchorage to a hospital, a birthing hospital, or Bethel. And so they don't have their family with them all the time when they are having their babies, but there is no place. They have a clinic and it's not open all the time, but they have people that come in and do dentistry and shots and that kind of stuff. But we actually were traveling and had some nurses learning community nursing come and stay with us. And so that was very interesting to hear what was going on and how that all works for the community. But their nutrition is mostly from this. They eat a lot of salmon. In fact, Joe got to have a meal of salmon that we didn't have. We were, okay.
Sorry. I just remember I was going to say they were talking about the village aspect in the funeral that we got to participate in. The neat thing and why my dad continues to go back and to this village, to Chivac, and like if you ask me if like, would you go to another village? I'm like, no, it's not the same. Because I go for the people and so does my dad. But we get adopted into that village. So like they are legitimate when they say, welcome home. Like you are home. This is part of your family. Like we are a part of your family. You're a part of ours. And so when we had that death happen, we were welcomed into everything that took place. So we were at the memorial, we were at the 3-day in their home, bring food. We brought whatever food we could scrounge up from our boxes. I think we brought like Ritz crackers or something. But they have, and so like we were adopted into that village. And we went to the funeral and we did the ceremony of dipping your thumb into holy water and putting a cross on the forehead. And then my dad always tells a story of I was like, Dad, that's the first dead person I've touched. But so it's just a really cool aspect of like they completely invite us in. Like you would think that like, hey, like this is our culture, stay away, stop doing your Bible study. But no, it was like, okay, pause that because we need to use it, but like come with us. And so we were singing songs with them, and we sang cultural songs as well as English songs. But it was just it's a unique place.
So they have a language Chupik they speak, and we got to hear that in the mass, the Catholic mass that went on, because of course we had to not be vacation Bible school that day, and so that was very, very interesting to hear. And the kids, they kind of will do that in front of you, but most of the time they're very proud of their language, of their culture, and they want to know. Some of the times the first thing they'll say to you is, well, how do you like Chivac so far? And they really want to know that you love it as much as they do, which I think is really great. The other thing that was interesting to me as a psychologist was that when I first got there, I thought, oh, they're going to be shy because this was my first time, so they didn't know me. They were very open. I mean, amazingly open. Yes, there was some sass. There's kids are kids, But in general, I thought I sat next to this young adult teen slash, and she had lost her family home. They had a kind of a tsunami, a flood came in to another town near them. And so they lost their home, and she was like, I'm really angry at God, and I'm really having trouble praying right now because I'm just so angry. And so we, it was like, oh, not hi, my name is. It was like right in there, having a deep discussion. And so that was, what is going on for them is very much what they want to talk about, which was great.
This is the kind of songs that we would do. Active, up front with kids. Recognize this little dancer right here. And this is Tyler. I first met him in 2014, and he's like 18, 19 now. And then this is that Rayleigh? She's 23, and this is Ava. She is Carson. So they still live in that community. Now, Ava is talking about going into the Army, and she's grown up quite a bit. She was pretty shy. But this is here we go. We'll get into this one. What happened? I thought I'd showcase Nancy since she's going to share some things. I don't do this. I can't get my feet to move that fast. Now use this to lead into, and maybe Nancy, you want to take the mic for what you did while we were there.
So in the evenings, the girls would have teenage time, and we would have adult women's group. And this is Charlotte. She's one of my adopted sisters. And so we kind of, and this was the last day I was there. She said, I want a picture, and we exchanged phone numbers and the whole bit. And I've corresponded with her. She and her sister is Peter's wife, the person who was helping us, Maria. And they were great together, and really shared a lot about the culture. And Maria had been a nursing person, a nurse in the clinic when she was younger. So I did a lot of photos, and I drew a lot of people. I don't have a lot of them because I gave them to people as I made them. And so I started kind of doing that. And then one of the little girls said, will you draw my dad? And that's Pat. Oh, that would happen there. And then Katie. So anyway, so when I was, that's the dad that she wanted me to paint or draw. And so it was really fun. That's the little girl. Her name is Jenny Lee. And they're just beautiful, beautiful children. And that was the thing. I did work with kids, and this was a real kid fix for me. But they are just, even they wear the same clothes every day, and they are definitely have poverty in their lives, but they are just beautiful people. And so that really came across to me, and I wanted to capture that when I was there. And a way to relate to them was really the artwork. They loved giving as well as making things. So we did friendship bracelets, and they festooned Natalie, especially. She was very popular with them. So they would always be trying to give you, and we say, no, put it in your window, or and they'd be like, no, I want you to have it. So very much a shared experience for them. And I think the best part was really kind of seeing them light up when they would come in, and just want to be a part of it and not want to leave. We would Lauren was really good about planning. Okay, you get this bracelet if you leave, or you get to get them out the door because they wouldn't want to leave. And we were exhausted, and they were like, oh, we'll see you later. I was like, okay. These are my 3 favorites. My little cute, so adorable. That's Faith in the middle is her name. Yeah. Christy.
Lauren.
Yep.
Yeah. But she's like this tall. And when
Yeah.
we first met her. Do you want to talk about?
I can.
We don't want people to get hangry, but
Yeah, Christy was one of my shadows the first couple of years, and she was also my buddy and would tell all the boys that my back hurt, and that's why I couldn't carry them on my back. And I was like, that's right. You listen to her, and that's exactly right. But yeah, she and I have gone back and forth. The Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat are great because we can talk with them because they have phones and everything. But yeah, she has had struggles. She's had some really close family members die, and then she's living with her brother and I think her grandmother right now. But it was really sweet because she, like I said, she was my shadow for 5 years, and she would come and hold my hand, and that's what we'd go walk around the village. But this year, I went to go find her because I hadn't seen her yet, and we found her house. I had somebody bring me to her house, and she came out of the doors and had been watching me from the window, and she was just crying. And so, of course, I started crying. But just really sweet of those different connections, which is why I say, like, we go back to this village because the people there are just so special. And we met new friends this year, and we got to see old ones and reminisce, and that's the first day that I saw her. So, yeah. It's just a really sweet time. But I think one thing that like y'all can take away is just be praying for this village and these people. It's hard to live in Alaska. It's even harder to live in a remote village like this. They struggle with addictions, with alcohol, with drugs, with gambling. And it's just a really tough life for them. And they're dealing with things that we deal with down here in the lower 48. They're dealing with gender identity, and they're dealing with family members and figuring out how to take care of their older family members when the dad is now old and they can't go out and sustain fish. Okay, so who's going to do it? And they want to leave because they want to go to Bethel, or they want to go to Anchorage, or they want to come down to the lower 48, but who's going to take care of their family if they leave? So a lot of these kids, like you guys were asking if they're in the same village, yes, they're stuck. A lot of them feel stuck in the village. Some love it and they wouldn't ever want to leave. But those are different things that you can be praying for these kids and their family members, is just how to provide for their families, and just that there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression. And so knowing that they have Bibles, whether or not they read them. So just pray for them to be able to read their Bible and for God to be able to work in that village, because it's heartbreaking to hear some of those stories. And we're still talking to them. And so I will get heartbroken when I get a text message of, well, I was drunk again, or this happened, or my family is dealing with this. And so just that would be my request, is when you come away, yes, come on the trip if you can. That's great. And we love your support to be able to continue going back, because we can't continue to go back if we don't have the funds, is just the reality. But also just the prayers, because those people are very precious, and they're in a rough spot. So that would be my closing thing, unless you want to do something else. But yeah, that kid was really cute. And one thing, so like they really like doing the dances. One of their things culturally is dancing, and so the women have fans, and the guys are typically on their knees or cross-legged. And it was fun to watch that one kid dance, because he took his cultural dancing and incorporated it into the moves that we were doing. So that like movement that you saw in his hips, that's like we didn't catch the full thing, but it's a lot of jerking movements. And so it was really cool to see him dancing in his cultural way that he's been taught and raised to do, but to a song that we were doing. And so it was just a fun little clashing of worlds. But
One of the other things that they try to fool you with some things, and one of the things is that they have this thing they do that's nonverbal. Oh, yeah. And so if you say, do you want this marker, and they'll do this with their eyebrows. And so if you don't know that, you're like, why? Yeah, what? I don't know why they do that, but that's just one thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they don't do a lot of talking sometimes. They're very, very quiet. And I remember my first year there, I'm asking these kids, do you want crayons? Do you need this? And do you want crayons? And they're going, and I wasn't in tune with it. So this is a fun video. And you're all going to have to do that before you have lunch. Yeah. And this was our last lunch. Or we were worn out by then. And needless to say, I was worn out.
Crazy.
But I was trying to disguise. I wasn't asleep. And Nancy was sitting next to me, and she says, do you need to lay your head on my shoulder? But I was so tired. We had, this was before we went to the other restaurant. We were waiting for pretzels or something. And I couldn't keep it together. And fortunately, my daughter was there to capture that moment. And this is just a picture of the whole team with some others. And this is at the airport on the way out. And it's hard. It's hard to leave, and it's hard for them. And this is Missy. Her name is Missy, and I asked her if she would write something so I could read it about her impressions of us coming, and she told me she would, but she didn't. But she has an incredible blog on her Facebook where she posts a devotional every day or regularly. And and I have pictures of her when she was this big. And that's Christy and Pat, and I can't make out who's behind her. And that's it. of our pictures. Any questions before we do lunch? You might be asking, did we do anything spiritual? Yes, we did. Two reasons. I was feeling responsible for all the trash that I found walking through the village on the days after. What we used to do, we had to get the young kids out so the older kids could come in. And I took Tootsie Roll Pops with me most years, and I still had candy, but I didn't do it. And so I became the candy man. And to get the little kids out, so the older kids, I would go hide in the village. And they would send, Joe's out there with candy, go find him. And I have video previous years of that church emptying out of all the younger kids and them running after me. But two things, the trash, and then they don't need that. Well, the running too, but it just seemed that we didn't need to come in and sugar them up. It was convenient for us, but I kind of began to feel like, no, this isn't really the right thing to do. And they can go to the store and they can get it and they can buy it. And so that's why I didn't do candy this year.
I am so glad that Lauren got to go back, because in 2019, when we went, the first thing that came out of the kids' mouths, and Preston and I are standing there looking at each other like, okay, are we chopped liver or what? Where's Lauren? Every kid that was old enough to talk that had met Lauren, where is Lauren? So I am very glad you got to go back this year.
Last questions. That is a nasty word. Well, I learned early on that, and I was told by that they're very proud of their individual heritage, and so the people, Chupik and Yupik, between Chivek and Hooper Bay, they don't want to be called, because Eskimo groups everybody together, and they want to have their individuality.
I want to know if all that food we saw in the beginning was for you guys, or was that for them? And secondly, why did Nancy's hair turn blue?
But we got to donate it. So what happened was we had 13 bins of food. Oh, we had to buy 3 more. Okay. So we had a lot of stuff, but you have to understand things like coffee there, a 5-pound thing of coffee at the store was $47. So anything that we were going to leave was going to be used. So the kids took things, the teenagers took stuff, the ladies who left, we gave them each a box of food. Excuse me. And we also were supposed to have 9 nursing students, and they were going to be there for most of the week. Well, inclement weather, their flight got canceled, all these things happened, and then they were there like a day and a half rather than the whole time. So that also mean we had extra, and we left things too. The girls were staying in the apartment behind the church, is an apartment for the priest. And so we left things in his cabinets as well. Ramen is big time like what they eat for chips. So they don't use the flavor packet, and they just eat the pasta, the noodles. So, and that was like a $4 thing at the store. So getting those for free was like manna. Yeah, they love that. So, so just to being aware of that, one of the kids would come and he'd say, "Well, I only eat native food." And then like Clement would, and then we said, "Well, we're having chicken pot pie. Would you like to try it?" "Well, I'd like to try it." And he tried 2 bowls of it. So, so so that's kind of, but I mean, but a lot of people, and they want you to try things, like they make a salmon jerky, and you open the bag and it's very pungent. It's not dried the way ours is. It's actually coated in seal oil. So it's an acquired taste. And the other thing that we had, which I think was cool, someone brought us some tundra, and they make a tundra tea. And the tea has for them medicinal qualities. It helps with sore throats and things like that. It sort of has the flavor, we brewed it, it sort of has the flavor of rosemary and mint. And you just kind of throw it in the pot and then strain it. So, and unfortunately, they don't dry it and keep it. They just have it seasonally when they can get the tundra. So anyway, so that was kind of cool. My hair, it'll just be different things. You just never know.
That's her unique personality. Because it was colored before we left.
Yeah, and I fit right in because there were lots of kids.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're all going to be here for lunch. You're going to stay, and you're going to stay. No.
November 12th, which is a Sunday, from 3 to 5. I'm in an invitational art show at the San Antonio Art League. It's at 130 King William. And 22 of my pieces will be there. None of the beautiful children pictures, but watercolors and acrylic. And I really love people to come, and it's free to the public. You can have a glass of wine with us or not. And anyway, it's always a good time, and there's always lots of people. And there's the 2 other people, Richard Mogus, who's an architect in town, and Stephanie Jobs Spears, who does pastel work. So there's a little bit of something for everyone.
Good. Well, we'll not sit at the same table. So find a table, and you sit at a different table. So the 3 of us will be at different tables if you have more questions over lunch. Let me pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to share. So much happens in Chivek in a week that it's hard to share, but I hope that how the changes that you created in us are very evident, and the relationships that we've developed. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Thank you for this church supporting us to go. Pray that you be with us today around these tables. Give us good fellowship together. Thank you for the activities that are coming up, and just pray that you would continue to give us opportunities to be together. Ask your blessing on this food for those that have prepared it, those that will serve it, and give us fellowship, sweet fellowship, together as we have lunch together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay.
You want us to be